Yeah, he's in.
Hello, Manish Bansal, sir.
Hi, Chief. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm Dr. Rahul Pandey. How are you, sir?
Good, Dr. Saab. Good. Everything is awesome and beautiful.
Sir, actually, we are not able to see you. Your camera is.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So it's so nice to see you, sir.
Absolutely beautiful.
After the interaction we had in Ignite during Gopal, time I'm seeing you. It's really very nice to meet you again.
That's awesome. Absolutely amazing to see all of you. I'm very pleased to see that part.
So in the meantime, Dean sir will also be accompanying us within few minutes. So
sure.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah. So Dr. Nilesh is joining.
Yes, he's also supposed to come. He told me he will be joining by 11.
Oh, okay. No problem at all. So you want to start? I'm perfectly okay to go if you want to start.
Your guests are also in, sir. Are they supposed to come?
No, I don't know. So that's fine. That's perfectly. I just left the messages to some of the people. If they are joining, fine. Otherwise, no issue.
Okay, over to Asabri ma'am. Asabri ma'am, please.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rahul sir. Moving further, we have a guest lecture by Mr. Manish Bansal, and we are very thrilled and excited to have you here with us today, sir.
Thank you very much.
Just before the guest lecture begins, a brief profile about Mr. Bansal. Mr. Manish Bansal is the Managing Director, India Operations at University of Maryland, Robert H. Smith School of Business. He has more than 2 decades of robust and diversified experience in investment banking, financial markets, sales and business development, and business strategy. He is also contributing to policy making as part-time consultant at DEA NIFM Research Program, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. He is an eloquent speaker, and we all are going to take success lessons from a corporate monk. We welcome you, sir. And now, without any further ado, I request you to begin your session.
Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Let me just share my screen, right? Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Wow, wonderful. So let's go, guys. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. And I'm equally excited to be here sharing whatever little I have accumulated in terms of the knowledge and experience with all of you. And thanks to Dr. Nilesh Khare and Dr. Pandey, who basically have taken the pains to organize the entire stuff. Thank you very much, Dr. Nilesh and Dr. Pandey. And thank you, ma'am, for wonderful introduction. Really appreciate. Thank you. So guys, my thoughts have always been very compact. I have always tried to put in the form of these stories only generally the 10 ideas, 20 slides, and 30 minutes. This is what I like to do. Typically 10, 20, 30 format I call, and remaining 10 to 12 minutes maybe for the question and answer session if people are having something basically on. So let's go with that thought process and some very interesting stories to take the takeaways from. So let me start with the first story, Sutras for the Nirvana. So it's a very interesting story I keep sharing with people. So there is this guy and he wants as we all are in the pursuit of happiness. So the guy says, look, I'm looking for, the freedom or the moksha mantra, sutra, moksha sutra. So he goes to Rishikesh, goes to a master who is studying, in his own happiness under a tree. And he goes to him and says, Maharaj, I am looking for the life mantra. How do I attain the moksha? Maharaj is a very simple guy. He opens his eyes and says, Tamma Brahmasmi. This guy gets very confused. He says, yeah, Tamma Brahmasmi means what? He says, Tum hi Brahma ho. Keval, you have to realize that you are Brahma. The guy gets very confused. Maharaj is Maharaj. He closes his eyes back. He says that he doesn't know how to basically give me the mantra. So he goes to another Maharaj in the same line and tells him that, look, man, I am looking for the success mantra. and you please give me that. So this Maharaj says, okay, I will. He says, before you give me the mantra, let me tell you the story. I went to the another Maharaj and he told me, Tom Brahmasmi is the mantra. So don't give me mantra so easily. You give me, some time to do some tapasya, etc. And then only you give me the mantra. So Maharaj said, what do you want? He said, I want to ashram mein rehna chahta hu, tapasya karna chahta hu. Then you give me the mantra for the moksha. Maharaj said, that's perfectly fine. Maharaj gives him a room. He stays in the ashram, does very, very hard tapasya. Literally getting up 4 o'clock in the morning every day, doing all kinds of sevas, everything. And this is the end of the year. He comes and sits in the lotus feet of his guru and says, Guru, I'm very happy today is the day for the guru mantra, so that I attain the moksha. But before you do that, please tell me, did I do a good job? Maharaj said, you were amazing, absolutely brilliant, very committed, hardworking, awesome. He sits with his closed eyes and says, Maharaj, what is the Guru mantra? And Maharaj says, Tom Brahmasmi. He opens his eyes and says, what is this bakwas? वो तो एक साल पहले दूसरे महाराज ने बिना कुछ करे बोला था. So Maharaj said, it was, it is, and it will be. So what I'm trying to tell you today, success mantras don't change. Why did I tell you this story is so that we lay down the base. The mantras of the success remain same in all generations and for all kind of people. They were, they are, and they will be. I can't reinvent them. Only thing is I can put them in the form of some stories, some interesting anecdotes, some learnings, so that people can take away from there whatever they want to take. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reiterate with some examples and some stories so that you have very clear takeaway from all of these sutras. So let's go over this, my friends. Let me tell you the very first story and the first mantra, papaya tree. So when we were small kids, right, we had a papaya tree at home. And every time when they were the papayas due, our parents used to take the jaggeries. जैगरी लेते थे हम लोग, उसको मेल्ट करते थे और उसके बाद उसको पेड़ की जड़ के अंदर डाला करते थे. We were little kids, we didn't know what did it mean, but our parents all the time said कि अगर हम ये जैगरी डालेंगे ना तो पपाया जो फ्रूट्स है उसका टेस्ट बदल जाएगा. Right? Did very little understanding we have at that point in time, but today I can tell you that thing has gone into our mind, and the most important lesson which I can start with today's discussion is to change the fruits, one has to work on the roots, right? And you and me all know that everything, the tree's configuration, the fruit's configuration, the flower's configuration is all about its roots. It's all about the nutrients you and me put into the roots. And why I'm taking this is, as the young students, right, as the budding leaders and the managers and the entrepreneurs, if you have to change the results of your actions, if you have to change your image in the mind of the people around you, you have got to work on yourself. That is the only thing you and me have in our hands. We have got to work on ourselves to change our image in the mind of people and change the results of our actions, our thoughts, our words. There is absolutely no other way to basically change anything. Let me take you to the next story. And next story is about the puncture in the car. So when I bought the new car, we were at the car shop, and that beautiful lady who was selling the car did demonstrate everything about the car in terms of the features. And she very, kindly also explained that if there is a puncture in the car, sir, you have to put the jack here and move it so the car goes up, and you have to remove the tire and then put the another tire. So there was a video also, and we thought that we have got the knowledge to do it if there was a problem. And you know what happens? We drive to Pune, and on the way there is a puncture in the car. Now you know what? There was probably a bit of knowledge which was existing how to do it, but I can tell you, even after hours of the practice or hours of the efforts, we could not accomplish what we wanted to. We had to call for the help and take the help from the people. And so the most important learning which I carried from there, and I want to tell you, is you need knowledge, but more importantly, you need the application of that knowledge. Unfortunately, in this world, we all are becoming the knowledge creatures. We are accumulating things without paying attention to how do we use that knowledge to create value. I can tell you, knowledge is only a tool, but how to use that tool to create value is very important. If you do not pay attention to that part, if you do not spend time thinking on what you have, how do you use to create value for people, it will never create value for you. So my second important sutra, which I keep telling to people, is that you have knowledge, wonderful, but also have the knowledge how to use that previous knowledge to create value, which essentially means ability to use the knowledge to create value, because knowledge is only a tool, and until you know how to use that tool to create value, it is all sheer wastage. Knowledge which you cannot apply is a burden, right? And that's the reason, the differentiation between the learning and mugging. Mugging probably is you just take it, pass it, just vomit it out in the exams without knowing how to use it in your real life. But if you learn something, probably that will remain with you and you will be able to use it whenever there is a need. And that is the importance of application of knowledge. You have little knowledge, that's fine, right? But learn to apply that knowledge to create value. That is the sutra. Let me go to the third story, right? Evolution of the online trading. So 1875 was the time when the Bombay Stock Exchange came into existence under a banyan tree. Right, some dhoti wala guys, topi wala guys, which you call the brokers, and they thrived and they survived and they grew, right, from 1875 to 1992. Till 1992, the National Stock Exchange came into the existence. And between these 100 and some 15, 20 years, you have seen the stock exchanges coming in every part of the country. Delhi Stock Exchange, Kanpur Stock Exchange, Kolkata Stock Exchange. Once the NSE came into existence in 1992, everything changed. All the stock exchanges have gone out of the game other than NSE and BSE, right? And then obviously MCX has emerged over a period of time. You have seen, these three exchanges. Now you look at the broking part, how the brokers used to charge you to the zero broking today. You have seen from that phone kind of trading to the online, to the mobile trading today, everything has changed. What is important message from that particular change or that story is we have to learn to learn. So if you see in the previous slide, I emphasized upon not mugging but learning. Here I'm emphasizing upon a new skill which you call learn how to learn, because everything around you is changing and changing at an amazing speed. With that change, you, me, and everyone else is becoming redundant. If we do not change ourselves, we will become redundant for this world. And to prove that we are relevant to this world, it's your responsibility, my dear friends. No one else is going to make you relevant. It's you who has to make yourself relevant. Remember what in Gita Krishna said to Arjuna, lift yourself by yourself. Remember it, that statement remains true every point in time, in everyone's life. Your teachers can show you the path. Your parents can guide you. Your mentors and the coach can show you, how to accomplish something, but you have got to travel on those paths. So what is important for you is to learn how to learn, because you cannot shoot a moving target with a static gun position. You have to move your gun position as well. And for that to happen, you have got to learn continuously, change continuously, so that you can stay relevant in this world. So this is one of the most important sutras. You learn and you learn how to learn so that you can continue evolving yourself at every stage in your life. Because there will be crisis every time. Over last 25 years of my life, when I have seen that the change has happened continuously. So you have got to continuously move. And so it takes me to the next sutra and the next story, which is so beautiful. And none other than Amitabh Bachchan's story. So let me just tell you, if you see Amitabh Bachchan's life, that young, angry man in movie Janjeer, to the love boy in Silsila, right? And then you have seen Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, parental role, and then the reality show Kaun Banega Crorepati. He has also played villain in the movie in 2007-8, a movie called Aankhein. So what he has done is he has reinvented himself at every stage. If you see all his colleagues, right, the people who were the superstars and the stars when he was at his peak of his career, they all have vanished kind of. But what? Amitabh stayed relevant. And what is the reason and what is the lesson for us? He reinvented himself at every stage in his life. He died and reborn. He died and reborn. He kept inventing and reinventing himself at every stage. And that's the lesson for all of you, my dear friends. You have got to reinvent yourself continuously, because things which are relevant today, your competence which are relevant today, the external environment which is relevant today will not exist for you 3 or 5 or 10 years down the line, because the change is the only constant in the life, and you and me have to change with the change, or rather trigger that change. Take the leadership position to change the world, right? As I keep saying, change fearlessly. Imagine fearlessly, and that's the next lesson. So before we go to that, I think I would request all of you to reinvent yourself continuously. Be comfortable with that change. Interestingly, if you go to LinkedIn profile of mine and spend some time, over last 25 years of my working, every third or fourth year, I have actually died and took the birth again. I have done different jobs, different activities every after third or fourth year very consciously, because there were two things to it. So when I start doing something, others start doing it. When others are there and they have been associated with us, if I don't move to the next thing, they will not have the opportunity to progress, right? And I will not be able to do the next thing until I leave this. So given these two parameters, right, I have always tried to move to something different and new, to create value in a different opportunity zone after every third or fourth year. You can see that part. I'm very proud of what I have done, because I don't have the right to speak if I have not done something. And I can tell you each of these success sutras I follow on my own. Otherwise, I don't have right to speak. I don't believe in just reading something and communicating. I believe in reading. I believe in experiencing, and then basically acquiring that right to tell or to share with you whatever perspective I have built. So reinvent yourself. Story, which I said, imagination, and the Wright brothers are the biggest examples. If you look at it, 1870s, 60s, 75, and the 80s, 1880s, Wright brothers, Wilbur and his brother, both of them imagined that the human being could fly. And then they devoted their life to that particular experimentation. And that's the reason in 1903, they were the ones who basically could fly the first plane, so to call. And today, that creation has resulted into all of us flying, thousands and thousands of miles without any problem. The lesson we have from this story is, imagine the future, and having imagined, create it. My dear friends, you see around, everything around you see today is the product of someone's imagination, right? Someone thought about going to the moon, right? We could land on the moon. Today, you see the mobile, the device you have, right? Graham Bell thought about the phones, so we could basically connect to the wires first, and then someone imagined to connect without wires. Today, when people are miles and miles away, thousands of miles away, they interact on the video call as if they are sitting next to each other, right? Look at this Zoom call you and me are having. Someone, I'm sure, would have imagined this part, so we are enjoying this today. What I'm trying to communicate to you is that every time you and me, when you go to the world to face the realities, you have got to imagine the future, and having imagined, create it. That is one of the success sutras. Success goes to people who imagine the world. Because we talked about it, there's a change happening continuously. When there's a change happening, you and me as leaders can stand up and say, what kind of changes are going to happen in the future? What kind of stuff is going to be relevant? What is not going to be relevant, right? What competence of mine can be utilized tomorrow? All that stuff is what you and me have to do. The more you imagine, the more you focus upon two things, the more you create, I think the life is going to be great. And you are going to be very productive asset for this beautiful world. So the important sutra is imagine future, and having imagined, create that. And that is something which you and me have the power to do. Yeah. Now, next, very interesting, Swami Gopal Das. I'm sure you would have heard him. If you have not heard him, please hear him. He was or rather, he is an engineer, worked with the HP, Hewlett Packard as an engineer, worked for several years, and then one day he basically had a call to move towards becoming a monk, and this is what he did. He today is part of the ISKCON, and obviously talks about a lot of life lessons in a beautiful word in the story format. So what the important lesson from his is, live your why. See, they will be calling at some point in time in your life. Today, after 20-25 years of working, I see बहुत सारे मेरे दोस्त हैं जो लोग अभी शायद corporate छोड़ करके, for example, they are just doing coaching or training work. Some people have just gone on the yoga side. Very recently I was talking to my friend. He joined SEBI with me, and over the last 1.5 years, he has been in Himalayas with his wife. The family responsibilities are over. Son is working in the Hong Kong, and he's just sitting in Himalayas doing yogas and spending some beautiful time. And so people are choosing their different paths in the life. At every point in time in your life and every activity you do, I think one important question you need to ask is why. Live your why, right? If your teacher tells you to do something, if your friends tell you to do something, your parents tell you to do something, or anyone else in this world tells you to do something, never forget to ask a question, why? And until you get the answer to that why, right, please do not do that, whosoever that person may be. Because why means you are using your intellect to evaluate whether that activity is worth taking. If it is not worth taking, it is not creating value, why should you do it at all? Right? When you watch a movie, the why may be entertainment, that's perfectly fine. When you go to the walk, right, 2 hours walk, why could be just connecting with the woods, right? But why has to be there. Without why, you should not act on anything. So one success sutra in the life I have been experiencing myself is why. If you come to me and tell me this is to be done, I will ask a question, why? Whosoever that may be. And I do not ask even my kids, I must tell you, to do something until I first answer the question, why? Because, otherwise we are just wasting our time without being really productive. So important sutra from life, here is, or to succeed is, live your why. Let me tell you another story. Steve Jobs, right? I never had the chance to meet the guy, but obviously I am experiencing the laptop MacBook here and the Apple products. And you and me know, people loved Steve Jobs. People hated Steve Jobs, whatever you call it. But Steve was the guy who said your time on the earth is limited, right? Live your vision, live your purpose. So what is the important lesson from their life lesson or the success sutra I have taken is deploy your time to the relevant stuff. So 2 important things. He said your time is limited, and you and me know every day we get credited 24 hours to our account. We use it or we waste it. That's purely our choice, right? Your time is limited. Time once gone never comes back. And so you have got to really understand the most precious asset of yours is time. Time is not one of the things. Time is the only thing. That's the way I talk all the time. Then is the differentiation between what is relevant and what's not. Go back to the previous sutra which I talked about, why. If you start asking why, you will start differentiating between what is relevant and what is not relevant. What is important and what's not, right? And the moment you start doing it, I think life will start giving you a different path. What does it mean? Apply your time, which is most precious asset, to only the relevant things by asking the question why. अगर आपने ये दोनों काम किया, तो obviously क्या होगा? Your time will be deployed towards most productive stuff. You will be superbly productive. You will be creating enormous value for the people around and for yourself. See, आज क्या है अगर आप देखेंगे, the world is filled with the distraction, right? काम करना शुरू करते हैं, कितने टाइम मोबाइल देखते हैं, right? So 2 minute के बाद हाथ में मोबाइल, बार WhatsApp. So actually you become a football. Why? Because every time there is an email, there is a SMS, there is a WhatsApp, so many means of communication, and you keep moving towards the phone, which is becoming the most distractive tool. You are distracted continuously. I keep thinking about it sometimes. I'm not sure you are consuming technology or technology is consuming you, right? You have got to be mindful of that part very clearly. I remember a very interesting thing. One day, I was talking to my friend and I asked him, what are you doing nowadays? Because of the lockdown, he said, kaam karne ko to kuch hai nahi. So actually I'm playing with the market, stock market. I told him, no, 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 don't have the confusion, my friend. You are not playing with the market. Market is playing with you. Please understand that very clearly, right? So you have to differentiate things very, very clearly. Be aware of what's actually happening, because market is such a large place, right? And market is Mr. Market. So many players in the market. So you are not playing with the market. Market is playing with you, my dear friend. Market is a serious business. It's not a ground to play. Otherwise, you will end up losing money. And that's the reason most of the time people do. Anyway, so coming back to this sutra, understand the value of your time and understand what's relevant and what's not. Deploy your time towards most relevant stuff. That's the way to be superbly productive. That's the way you move towards success. That's the way you create value in this world. And that value reflects back to you and me. Going to the next story, Tony Buzan. I don't know, have you heard about Tony Buzan? Have you heard about mind maps? But I think one of the most interesting things, Tony Buzan is the one who is credited with creating something called mind maps. And mind maps in the most simplistic manner is like a tree, right? When you look at the tree, it has many branches. Similar is the case for every decision of yours and mine. When you have to take a decision, there are advantages, there are disadvantages, there are efforts to be made, there are results to be accomplished, there are alternatives to that decision. So what Tony says is that every time you have to take a decision or every time you have to explain something, put that on a piece of paper, right? And create a tree. So advantages here, disadvantages here, competition here, benefits here, your efforts here, results here, all that stuff put on a piece of paper and maybe use a different colored pens, right? So what happens is you end up creating a beautiful picture and start thinking on paper. And that's where I keep talking about one of the most important success sutras is think on the paper. See, ideas keep going and keep coming and keep going, right? Once you put on the piece of paper, and you would see that part, most of the brilliant minds in the world always have a pen and a paper in their pocket. They always keep the pen and the paper next to them when they are sleeping. And the reason is, in the night, 2 o'clock also, if they get an idea, they stand up, write on a piece of paper and then go to bed. Every time you get an idea, please put that on the piece of paper. You start thinking on the paper. A structured way of thinking will change the quality of your thinking and the decisions you make out of that thinking, right? So think on the paper is one of the most success mantras of my life. And I think I would like to share that with you to communicate, learn from this, think on the piece of paper. And go to the next story, Karate Kids. If you have watched the movie Karate Kids, wonderful. If you have not watched the movie, you must watch the movie Karate Kids. And there's a beautiful dialogue when he says, I'm not worried about the 1,000 moves, I'm worried about that one move you have done 1,000 times, right? And what is the learning lesson from there? And what is the important message or the success sutra I learned from there is focus, focus, and focus. Give your 100%. देखिए, आपका time limited है, आपके resources limited है, right? You and me cannot afford to spread those resources very thinly over 50 avenues. We will not succeed ever in the life. See, Tendulkar only plays cricket. You don't go and tell him you also start playing football tomorrow or badminton, right? So is the case with the Saina Nehwal, right? Or anyone else in this world you would see, you can become great in 1, 2, or 3 things. You cannot become great in 30 things, right? So if you go back to the previous slides or the previous sutras, we talked about imagination. We talked about reinventing yourself. We talked about, changing yourself continuously. But when you do all this, you focus upon one thing at a time. You do not focus upon 30 things at a time, because then your focus will get kind of scattered. So you have to focus upon one thing at a time, give your 100%, be there, create value. And maybe after 2, 3, 4 years of the value creation, you can move always to something else, right? So point is focus, focus, and focus. Once you have chosen a path, once you have imagined the future, once you have created a specific path for yourself, travel on that path with 100% of yourself. Because dedication is the key to success. Until you put your 100%, results will not come. As they say, water boils at the 100 degree. Even at 99, water does not boil, right? Not that 99 degrees have gone wasted, right? But it will boil only at 100. So is the case with you and me. We have got to give over 100%, not 90% or 95%. Sachin Tendulkar, as I touched, and if you see Sachin, you know, the kind of performance remarkable he has given, it's absolutely awesome. And if you see, you know, you and me look at the guy and 2020 match, 4 hours, 5 hours in the field, but we don't look at 400 hours or 4,000 hours of practice behind it. So is the case with the Tiger Woods. If you look at the Tiger Woods, he says, I finish the game, get exhausted, go to home thinking I'm done forever. And I'm back to the field next day with the same amount of energy, same amount of enthusiasm, and same amount of passion for the game. What I want to communicate is, my dear friend, and the lesson for the success is, with discipline, everything is possible. And let me state, same way, without discipline, everything is impossible. I think you sit with anyone who is successful in this world in any walk of life, be it your teacher, be it a musician, be it an artist, anyone in this world who has accomplished an excellence in his field, and ask him, what is that one mantra he will tell you to succeed? And I'm very confident he will say discipline, right? Every day, the work has to be done with the same amount of the passion, enthusiasm, and the energy, with 100% of yourself, with significant amount of discipline. That's the way you and me succeed in the life. So discipline, I mean, I can never kind of flaunt with that stuff. You and me have that responsibility, and that's the way to go to become successful. It's one of the most important success principles. Now, last 2 or 3 slides. As 2080 principle works in all walks of life, and I keep thinking about it a lot over my own life, and I say, the hard skills you and me acquire, I'm coming from the skill side first. Hard skills, right? Core skills of your in the business, whatever area you operate in, only produce 20% of your total results. But the soft skills, and when I use the term soft skills, I mean ability to communicate, ability to present, ability to influence people, means your interpersonal skills, ability to structure issues, ability to synthesize solutions, ability to deliver solutions to people and solve problems. These are all soft skills, right? All these skills contribute 80% to your success. If you do not know how to communicate, if you do not know how to deal with the people, how to influence people, whatever skills in the world you may have, very difficult for you to become successful. So what I'm trying to communicate is, your core skills will only contribute 20% towards your success. Your soft skills will contribute 80% towards your success. And unfortunately, we spend 80% of our time building the hard skills and hardly any time building the soft skills. I have to ask you guys, and you have to start working upon that part. Build communication skills, build interpersonal skills, build ability to structure your thoughts, build ability to comprehend on the situations, build ability to build a relationship with the people. Because trust me, at the end of the day, people work with people. Whatever good you may be, until people like you, they will not do business with you. So one important part I will tell you is build relationships. So 80% of your success will come from your soft skills, and start putting some amount of efforts building that component today. That is the way to think. So I'm saying essentially, for 80% contribution to your success, you have to focus upon soft skills which you do not pay any attention today. Start paying that attention, which could be very contradictory to what you do today, but that's what I think I would share with you, because that's my own experience. Last 2 or 3 slides. Story, Buffett. Buffett is an amazingly incredible personality, and I have been a disciple of Buffett myself. I've been reading, thinking in terms of the way Buffett thinks, and he makes a beautiful statement. When I look for the people, I look for 3 things in them. Number 1, integrity. Number 2, intelligence. And number 3, energy. And he goes on to say, if you don't have the first one, don't bother about the remaining 2. What does it mean is integrity is the key component in the success, right? Your thoughts, your words, and your actions should be absolutely integrated. If you speak something else, do something else, tell something else, people will not trust you. And once you lose that trust of the people, you are gone. And I can tell you one story from here. I did investment banking for almost 3 years, and I had a partner with me. And that partner, unfortunately, used to lie with people. And I realized that part, that look, the guy is lying. He is not trustworthy. If he's lying with someone else, he can lie with me, right? I somehow, with my own fear, did not break that relationship. That relationship continued, right? And one day, situation came in when he had to pay me almost 1 crore rupees. He simply stood up and said, Manishji, I can't pay you the money. The story, what I want to communicate to you is that if the people can lie someone else, they can lie to you tomorrow. If they breach that trust with someone else, they can breach trust with you tomorrow. Those are not the people to be working with. And that's what happened with me. I could not pay attention to that statement of integrity myself, right? Maybe because of my own fears of not having the alternative, so to call, kind of revenue proposition at that point in time, but I realized it late, and I actually lost a lot of money just because of that statement. And since then, I think I would pay a lot of attention to that part. Reputation is the new currency. If you have reputation, you will get the business back. If you have lost the reputation once, I think everything is lost. Whatever money you may have, I don't care. So every time today when I deal with the people, I look for the reputation and the integrity, the alignment in their thoughts, words, and actions. And you and me have the responsibility to be of that kind. If you build your reputation, if you build your integrity, if you demonstrate that ethical behavior in your every thought, word, and action, I think world will come to respect you and to come to your rescue whenever you need, whatever it is. I keep telling my team today, we are into business of building trust. We are into business of building relationship. Business is second, reputation, relationship, and trust is first. Everything will fall in place for me. Yeah. And then is the Richard Branson, the chairman of Virgin, and we all know he's known for very hard work and the very hard play, right? He always says, love what you do and do what you love. And that's the lesson I want to share with you. Love what you do or do what you love. And anything which is not giving you fun, it's not worth taking, right? I keep thinking of passion to profession. See, yesterday was a different day, right? If you wanted to choose, let's say, music your profession, or wanted to choose, for example, let's say art your profession or something else, probably you could have a lot of hindrances. But today, thanks to the technology, thanks to the reach, the lot of things are democratized. People are also changing. Parents are changing. Their thinking is changing. So you as a student or an individual have a choice, right, in terms of what you want to do in your life. Always have passion, right, and convert your passion into profession. If you can do it, that's the best thing, because then you will be expressing your heart out. You would be playing at your best, and that's the best thing to happen in the life, because you will be most happy then. Remember, we are not in pursuit of money, fame, name, etc. We are in pursuit of happiness. Money, fame, name, etc. Maybe the means to that happiness, but they are not happiness themselves. Right? So please understand, please pay attention to that subject. And the success sutra is love whatever you do or do whatever you love. Otherwise, just don't do. If your heart is not beating, if your mind and the soul is not in what you are doing, it's better to quit and explore where you want to go rather than just hanging around. You will not do good to yourself, or you will not do good to the people. So success mantra is love what you do or do what you love. Otherwise, quit. That's the way I think you and me will progress in the life. Yeah, so coming to closer to the end, and again and again, I keep thinking on this, you never fail. It's just that you do not succeed sometimes. Remember Edison, who made 1,000 times efforts to create the bulb, and he didn't succeed. Every time you make an attempt, you know that this thing cannot be done this way. And that's it, that's the learning. Every event you can turn into learning. Learn from the past and leave it. Future is a mystery. Just imagine future and use the present to create that future, right? And do not be disheartened, because you never fail in the life. It's just that you don't succeed sometimes. So what does it mean is you have got to do different things, or you have got to do things differently and nothing else, right? That's the life lesson which will keep you going, which will make you successful for sure one or the other day. है मुझे चलते जाना है, जिंदगी में कोई रोक नहीं सकता अगर हम एक बार अपना हौसला बना लें कि मुझे चलते जाना है, because then you will realize you never fail, you always move towards your success. And that's where I come to the last slide of my presentation, and I keep saying, my dear friends, you and me are here in this beautiful world. You as budding professional, budding entrepreneur, budding leader, serve humanity with the awesome products and service. This is your responsibility and this is my responsibility. Stand up every morning, tap dancing to the work, creating the awesome stuff around, making people around you happy, right? Creating products, imagining services, how you can make this beautiful world more beautiful. Remember, entrepreneurs or professionals who succeed in their life are the people who always think of the problems and then think of how to solve those problems to create value. And that's where I tell you, my dear friends, lead in this world fearlessly. Stand up. Don't think about self. Think about the people around you. Stand up to serve humanity with awesome products and services. And that's the way the life needs to be led to make it more beautiful. So with this, I think I will stop. If there are some questions, I'm happy to answer. But these are the success sutras I really spent time thinking on. And I can tell you, you see this 30 minutes presentation, I would have spent, if not more, at least 3, 4, 5 hours collecting my own thoughts, thinking on my own, and putting them on the piece of paper. Thank you very much for this patience. I really appreciate it, and I hope it really created some value for all of you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manish sir, for delivering the most elaborate, exhaustive, and message to motivate all students at Jargon School of Commerce and Economics so eloquently. I believe that everyone here has taken some insight, a lot of messages that are important for every success journey. So thank you so much. I would like to call Dr. Rahul, Jargon School of Commerce and Economics, to session and to also thank our guest lecturer.
May I take the times? May I just take 2 minutes?
Sir.
Surely, sir.
Okay.
Hi, Dinesh.
Hi, Manish. How are you?
Absolutely brilliant. Beautiful time.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you and hear